What's going on, guys? Spencer Clays here. Today we're going to talk about making fast decisions and becoming a better leader and business owner. And this is stuff that I've been seeing a lot recently. So we're just going to kind of dive right into it. So basically, I run a home service business where, we're doing holiday lights right now. We're making a lot of money. Booked an extra like 10 grand this week from, these are big lighting jobs. You can see one of my yard signs. Got a little bit of a cold, but you'll have to bear with me. So basically the genesis of this video is I've had a lot of people asking me questions about how to run Facebook ads, how to start a business, how to build a website, and it's kind of been pissing me off because I'm like, dude, like specifically this one person has been asking me how to build a website, and I'm just like, dude, like you have a business. He's been in business for a while, and not only do I have videos of me building a website, but we also build websites for people. Like if you want us to do that, you can just, this is America. If you want to pay me money to do something, I'll build it for you, right? Or well, my team specifically. Well, I probably won't be out there coding and doing all that stuff. But anyways, if you're not willing to pay someone to do something for you, like don't waste their time, right? Like it's just this weird mentality that people have. Like people will also ask like, oh, I'm thinking of starting this business. Can you? Oh, that's in someone's yard. So basically, I hired a bunch of kids to put out some yard signs for our business, and we had some people call in. They're mad that we put some signs in their yard, and we can talk about that in a second. I don't want to detract from my point. But the point is, like, they'll ask, like, oh yeah, like, how do I start this business? I'm thinking about it. Can I just call you and just talk to you? And I'm just like, no, like, I'm not gonna you haven't even started the work. You haven't even done anything. Why would I just like get off? Like, obviously I have nothing better to do. It's not like I have a family and kid. And it's just this weird mentality. It'd be like you going up to like trying to find someone who does like professional snowboarding and be like, hey, like I'm thinking of starting snowboarding. Like, how should I start snowboarding? It's like, dude, go to the mountain, get a board and snowboard down. See how you like it. Once you start to get like the hang of it, not only are like most of your questions not even going to exist, like there's this really weird thing when people haven't even done something and they ask a bunch of questions. Like, I can't even remember what it was the other day, but if someone was asking, it was like, they were asking if water collects in the Christmas light bulb. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like they're either sealed or they have a hole. I can't remember. Never happened. And it was just a question that he's never done lights before. So I can see where his mind was like kind of working, but it was just a waste of a time of question. Like, it's like you're going to be asking questions of things that aren't even relevant, like what's the point of that? And so you don't know what you don't know. And that's kind of why I'm always an advocate of starting and then figuring it out along the way. And so I'm listening to a couple podcasts right now. One of them is about Thomas Edison. And Thomas Edison's really cool because he just kind of just started throwing spaghetti at the wall. You guys have heard, he did like 10,000 different light bulbs to figure out how to, the best material for the light bulb. So he actually wasn't even doing like studies on like how to, like what is the best molecular, how am I going to do mathematics on to figure out how I'm going to build this. No, he's just going to test thousands of different materials and see what works. And so I really like that mentality. I really like that strategy because that's kind of how I am with business. I don't really think a lot of things through. I just kind of go. And so a lot of people are like, oh, you're an idiot. You failed at this and that then didn't work. I'm like, I don't care, dude. I'm a hands-on type of guy. I'll figure it out. If it doesn't work, awesome. I'm going to move on to the next thing. So that's how you need to start approaching life. Just start throwing spaghetti at the fucking wall, making fast decisions. That's another point that I wanted to get into. Making fast decisions is crucial if you want to be successful as a leader and in business, because the faster you can make decisions, the faster you're going to be able to iterate and figure out what's not working. If you have someone who only makes one decision per day versus someone who's making 100 a day, that person's going to kick your ass. And a simple example of this, I heard this a long time on a podcast, and I've always made the effort to do it. It starts with little things. It starts with when you go out to eat. When you're ordering food, look at the menu, find something that's good, and order on the spot. Don't think about it. Don't look at all the other options. Obviously, find what you kind of like, but you got to realize that, like, especially with like a food menu, like 90% of the options are probably good. You're probably gonna like them, unless you're like a super picky person, which maybe reevaluate your life, because I don't know why being picky has ever served anyone. It's not a very good survival trait. It's like you'd be stumbling through the wilderness like thousands of years ago as your ancestors are like, oh, we finally found some food. And it's like, no, I don't like that food. It's like, what are you talking about? So pickiness is something I've never personally understood. Anyways, getting back to making fast decisions. I'm kind of just going on this cool little drive. I've never been out here before. One of my customers lives back there, and so I was just like out here, and we got a bunch of snow the other day. You can see some right up there, so maybe we'll go check out some snow. Anyways, talking about making fast decisions, I just got in the car and drove today. I'm just like, hey, we're going to make a fucking podcast. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to start recording and yapping. So let's keep going. So fast decisions, starting your business, making money, Thomas Edison, all good stuff. Let's go back to the yard signs, because I'm also, you'll see me getting distracted because massive ADHD. Oh, that's cool. There's like a gun club here. Massive ADHD. So anytime I see like one of my yard signs, I get like, oh, that's awesome. So because I just paid a bunch of high school kids, my wife's family, to go out and put out yard signs. Very cool little strategy, because one of the 48 laws of power, the 26th law of power, I believe, is never get your hands dirty. And it's always make the appearance of being clean. And so basically someone called me up. Was like, hey, your yard signs in my yard. Are you having kids putting out? Like, blah, blah, blah. He was kind of mad. I could tell. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, I just hired some kids to do it. They're my wife's cousins. They're just trying to make some extra money after school. And kind of once I explained the situation, he immediately calmed down. He's like, okay, like, oh, that's cool. I can actually move it for you. Because I was like, oh, I can come get it. Very apologies for that. And versus like me putting out signs, it would just be like, oh, like I was physically the one doing it and he's going to get mad at me. And it just doesn't work. He's going to get mad, blah, blah, blah. He's going to see my grown ass doing it. And also it works both ways, because the kids, if anyone's yelling at them, they can be like, oh, we're very sorry. Like, our boss told us to do this. And I use this all the time when we're quoting, like, especially like other jobs with my other guys, not even just yard signs. You can always kind of play people back and forth. And I've noticed Alex Ramosi has mentioned about this. Like, he would have someone I can't remember what business it was, but someone would get mad at him and his business, and he immediately would get mad at the employee. He'd be like, oh my goodness, like, you're telling me my employee messed up? I'm going to call them right now and get them fired or get them in trouble. And the customer's usually going to be like, oh, whoa, it's not that big of a deal. He's like, no, two people can't be in the angry boat at the same time. So if you kind of like put the blame on the employee right away, or if the employee puts the blame on you see how that works. So anyways, I thought that was a good little lesson and kind of fun, because I've also heard other people, like, I can't remember who it was, but they're like, oh, I'm not going to put out yard signs. Like, some people are going to get mad at me. And it's just, I don't want that. And I'm just like, dude, I'd rather get people mad and get their attention than to not have anyone notice us at all, right? You can't really be, that's how the world operates. Like, you see guys like Donald Trump. It's impossible to get a lot of attention in this world without having people hate you and people not like you. It's impossible, right? Like, there's people that are going to watch this video. They're like, wow, I hate this guy. This guy sucks. Or not that he sucks, but they're just, usually it's this weird mix of, love and hate are two sides of the same coin. Like, the opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy, where you don't even care about it. Like this piece of dirt, I don't even care about it at all. I don't love it, I don't hate it, it's just absolutely nothing. And so that's something that people get wrong about hate. Like, I think it was Conor McGregor or Nate Diaz, one of them said, like, people love me so much that they hate me. And so that's kind of a cool way to visualize it. So anyways, got a cool little energy drink. I've been saying that word too much. Cool. Yeah, how are you guys doing? Money's in the air. We got a big job today. Not that big, relatively small, but still, $1,600. Gonna take a couple hours. Not too bad. Do a couple of those a week. You're doing just fine. Booked a $4,000 job. Just did a $3,400 job. Did another $1,300. So yeah, kind of talking about Facebook ads, man. Like, there's a cool little update. We can kind of go into that as well. So if you guys have read Breakthrough Advertising, or if you haven't, I'll explain it to you. So there's this concept in advertising called market awareness. And it's this concept that all markets and all people are at different stages of awareness. Everyone kind of knows this. We've heard about funnels and stuff. I might have to figure out where the heck I am too. these roads kind of go freaking far. I'm like kind of out in the mountains now. As you see, we'll just kind of keep going until we see some snow. Till service stops. I think I already lost service, but that's fine. But back to market awareness. This is important for really anyone who wants to get attention, who wants to run ads. And Facebook just launched this crazy new update that's freaking awesome. So I'm super stoked about it. Basically, Eugene Schwartz in his book Breakthrough Advertising, he kind of pioneered this thing that there are different stages that your customers at. They don't know about you at all. There's they kind of know about your product. There's they know about your product. They're just not sure which brand. And then there's like they're sure about your brand, and then they like you. It's like 5 different stages of awareness. And the point is, all marketing does is move your customer from one stage of the awareness to the next. Like you got to take someone who's not aware of you at all and move them just to the next stage. You're not going to move someone who's never heard of you before, doesn't even have this problem. Like you wouldn't be able to go into the woods to some tribe in South America and be like, hey, you need this phone. They'd be like, what are you talking about? I've never even heard of a phone. You need to be like, hey, would you like to be able to call people in the next village? They'd be like, that would be cool. And then you'd be like, that's what a phone is for. And they're like, okay, I can see that. And then from there, it's like, well, what type of phone is best? Like, okay, with this phone, and then you can start to sell them on your products. You see how that works? So obviously, you're probably not going to be selling phones to tribesmen in the middle of the woods, but that's kind of the point that I'm getting at. So anyways, now that out of the way, just realize that there are different stages of awareness of people, obviously. And so where this comes into play with Facebook, what they just did was they just basically made it so that they have millions of data points and they have so much content and so much information on all of us that you can upload like 10 different videos, 10 different pieces of content, 10 different ads, and Facebook knows exactly which one to show to which customer. It's going to be like, this customer, Steven, has been looking a lot into holiday lights. Let's just show this one that shows your lights and he might buy. Versus like, oh, okay, this customer has not looked at lights at all this year. Because Facebook, dude, they can see when you're scrolling on your phone, when you stop on the scroll, they can see exactly like what you're looking at. And so they know like kind of what people are thinking. They have millions of data points. Like I mentioned, they know where you're born. They know where you live. They know what you do. They know this type of stuff that you like. They know the people you follow. They know your neighbors and what your neighbors do. So it's this whole conglomeration of tons of data. So they can kind of use all this. Okay, I'm going to turn around right here. Some guy over in his like skid steer flattening out the road. That's cool. I like heavy machinery. I want to get some someday. We were working on, we rented one the other month, like a couple months ago, to build our own driveway. We got some land, working on building it. Probably not going to do too much with it this year. It's already October. It's already snowing, so probably not going to do anything crazy. Anyways, so Facebook can kind of show your ad and show it to anybody that is interested in your product. And you can have like 8 different levels of awareness that you're putting out there. Be like, hey, my name is Spencer. I have this business. This is what we do. Versus like, here's the exact type of lights we have. Like, you should get this now. Or I can have the angle of like, hey, don't fall off the roof this year. Or you can have the angle like, hey, we have a special discount. Those are like 4. See, I just mentioned like 4 different angles of attack. And so you want to have as many angles as possible because Facebook knows which one to show to your customer. It knows which different bait to use. Like it's like if you're fishing, if you go out, Facebook already knows, okay, this lake, you're going to want to use this bait and you're going to want to throw it out here. And so if you just upload 10 different pieces of content, ads, bait, it's going to be, okay, this one, we like this one. This is the exact one you need for this exact customer. So they're going to throw it out for you. And so far it's been crushing it. Like, dude, we're getting $4 messages, $4 leads. And like I mentioned, we booked a $4,000 job from a $4 ad. I think total we spent like 60 or 70 because, not everyone that books is going to, or not every lead is going to book with you. And that's totally fine. $4,000, that gives us a lot of wiggle room to keep running that ad. Excuse me. Even if it was $100 per lead and we're still booking like every other lead or whatever, and still making thousands of dollars profit, spending hundreds of dollars in ads. The math works out. Always keep kind of a general look at your numbers. So that's kind of the point of Facebook ads. And if we kind of go in full circle back to how do you run ads, like how do you build a website, man? It's just you got to really get involved in the topic. You got to always be learning, and this is something that even I have kind of slacked on. I've been picking up some books recently. I'm like, shoot, I need to be reading. Like, I think of myself as like good at Facebook ads, but now it's like, okay, there's a new update. I'm gonna go watch a bunch of videos and try it out, and just kind of just learn as much as I can. Like, you need to become a student of the game and always be learning. Like, always be reading, researching, learning more and more and more. You never want to get to this point where you're like, oh, I know everything. That's it. Like, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. There's obviously nothing more to learn. That's a very foolish mentality. There's always more to learn, even no matter who the frick you are. Like, you see every CEO, like, they're always famous for reading lots of books. And I think that's just so important. And if that's the only thing you take away from this video, is become a student of the game. Always be studying, learning as much as you can about a topic. So you're not asking silly questions like, how do I do this or how do I do that? There's very technical questions that I'm happy answering, and I'll try and answer in any of my videos. There's a very big difference between questions. There's a right way to ask questions and there's a wrong way to ask questions. The wrong way to ask questions would be like, hey, Spencer, I'm thinking about doing holiday lights. How do I do this? And it's like, dude, that's a very lazy way to ask it. They have not told me any information about their business. They haven't told me where they are. They haven't told me what they do. Versus, and they'd be like, how much should I charge? Like, I'm like, dude, I don't know. Versus like, hey, Spencer, I've been charging like $800 for these jobs. I live over here. How much should I be charging for this job? Now that gives me like 10,000 times more context, right? You see how that's such a different question? And because even right now, like, I'm putting up this new system of lights and I have a lot of questions. And so I will do my damnedest though to look it up, find the manual, use ChatGPT, research it as much as I can. And only when I'm like absolutely stuck am I going to reach out to the company, to the manufacturer, to see how I can get past this problem. Because, and you got to be excited about problems too. Problems get me excited, dude. I smell a skunk. Even though I can't really smell anything, I smell that. Problems should get you excited, dude, because that means other people are going to have the same problem, and they're going to have and if you can have the solution, if you can figure out this problem, like, you can make a lot of money, you can make a lot of people happy. And so that's a good thing. You got to get excited about problems. You got to figure out what people are trying to do, where the questions are, what is going on, and obviously try and solve them in a way that makes sense for you and the customer. So, because like I just mentioned, like, people are like, oh, how do I build a website? How do I run Facebook ads? Like, I'm not going to answer that. Like, I've already put out so much information. I already have tons of products on how to do that. I'm not going to figure that out for you. So anyways, that is kind of the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about today. Take fast action. Make as many decisions fast as you can. Be quicker with it. The longer, one of my favorite quotes is Theodore Roosevelt, where he's like, the best thing to do is the right thing. The second best is the wrong thing. The worst thing to do is nothing. And in that Napoleon Bonaparte as well. He said no, it wasn't Napoleon Bonaparte. Who was it? More is lost from indecision than action. Or so, I think that it might have been Bonaparte, but something along those lines. It's this whole point of, it's better to do something and fuck it up than to not do anything at all and not learn anything. Because even when you mess up, like we said, problems are good. If you mess up, you're like, okay, how can I fix this? Is this a problem that we need to actually figure out how to solve? Because I'm sure if I had this problem, then other people are going to have this problem. So you need to become a problem seeker, a heat-seeking missile that's looking for problems that you can solve. And that's how you get ahead in this life. You find a problem that enough people have and you solve it in a way no one else has, you can really do anything. And I want to end on this. It's this myth that you need to be an expert. It's this crazy mentality that we've been taught since we were very young children, that we need to seek authority, that authority knows best. They know everything, right? The teacher knows, your parents know. And I think it was like, I was talking with one of my friends about this. It was like, what age were you when you realized that your parents didn't have it figured out? And I was like, I was asking him, I said I was about 21 when I figured out. I was like, wow, my parents don't really know anything compared to what I thought they did. Because when you're a kid, you kind of assume that your parents and adults know everything. And now, of course, that I'm out in the world, I realize that most adults don't know anything. Most teachers don't know fucking anything. And so once you kind of look at it like that, like, okay, if no one really knows anything, like I know just about as much as almost anyone in the world on any certain topic, right? And James Dyson, the founder of Dyson vacuums and like the big company, they have to do like hair wraps and all that stuff. He was famous for inventing the vacuum he had 5,126 different prototypes until he found the one that worked perfectly. Now he's a billionaire. It took him years of figuring out with trial and error. But he was famous for kind of saying that like you can become an expert in anything with just a little bit extra. With it was called in his book, because his book was called Invention, and it was like this tribal. It was like the Zulu tribe concept or something. But basically, if you go to this one tribe in Africa and you spend like a week with them, you're going to know more about that tribe than 99% of people on the planet. And you've only been there for a little bit. It was something like that. And so he mentioned that in his book. I'll have to look into that again. But it was a really interesting concept. Like if you spent a week with a random tribe, you would know more about them than 99.9% of the entire planet. And if you take that concept out to like almost anything, and that's why he got obsessed with vacuums, because it was just some random thing that he really got into. And after like not very much time, he became an expert at it. He wasn't an engineer. He'd never worked in it before, but just through a lot of focused effort, he became one of the most knowledgeable men on the entire planet, because also no one else was trying to fix this problem. It was a problem that a lot of people had with vacuum cleaners. They have these bags. You had to empty the bag and buy new bags. It's a big pain. And so he's like, I'm going to fix this problem. And so I just love that mentality where you're like, I'm not an expert on this, but I don't care, because also no one else is an expert on this. Like, and you see that same thing with guys like Steve Jobs, who designed, all the Apple products, Pixar, and Edwin Land. He's the founder of Polaroid. Gaston Glock. You can see I've been researching this a lot because I'm very interested. That's kind of the next thing I want to do. I want to start building things. Like actually, like I've been talking about the land a lot, and I want to do some cool things on the land. And so I've been looking into like what we could do, some like water systems, how to, because we're not going to really be able to dig a well. So this is a big problem. I'm getting excited because this is a problem that how can we fix this? Because water is a big fucking deal. A lot of people, like millions, if not billions of people on this planet don't have access to clean water. And most people would be like, oh, that sucks, water, whatever. I have water. I have bottled water. I don't care. But if you could correctly solve this problem, like that would be immense. That would be huge. And Nikola Tesla talked about in his autobiography, if you could tap into the atmospheric currents, you could direct water however you wanted. And it was kind of a cool blurb from his book that I really like kind of focused on, because like I mentioned, we have land, it's dirt essentially, there's no water. We could dig a well potentially, but it's kind of risky. There was someone else that dug a well, someone nearby. They dug like 500 feet down, or 450 feet down, no water. Dry hole. And so it's like, do you keep going or do you stop? And so they end up stopping. So it was like 450 feet, tens of thousands of dollars to dig that hole. It was a dry hole essentially. So anyways, point is, wells are risky out in this area. How else can we figure out how to get water? And so anyways, that's kind of what I've been looking into. And I'm really inspired by guys who like look at a problem like, okay, I know I don't have any experience with this, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do my best to focus on this problem despite not being an expert, because, I was telling this to some of my other friends, like, well, you don't have a mechanical engineering degree. You don't know anything about this. I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck, dude. Most people who are great and invented something great, they just got really obsessed with the problem and they attacked it with everything they had. So that's kind of the whole point of this freaking podcast, this episode, this video. Find what the frick you want to do. Attack it with all your force and your fury and your might. Become furious. I love that word. Fury. Just like attack this problem. If you got furious enough about this, would you be asking like, how do I build a website? Dude, get furious about getting more customers and becoming number one on Google. Don't focus on just building a website. Become the best. Like have a best website. It's not that hard, because like we mentioned, 95% of the people don't fucking know anything. Their websites suck. they've never spent any time into doing it. So just if that on that metric alone, I know more than 99% of people about building websites. And so it doesn't take that long. Don't always put so much stock in authority and all this and that. You are so much more powerful than you even imagine. All of us are. And so that's kind of the point I wanted to end on today's podcast. We'll kind of get more into some other stuff on the next one. Someone's calling me. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love. Let's get after it. Make some money. God bless. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Spencer Clay Show. That's all for now. See you in the next episode. Peace.